Wary observations, righteous discussion. Unite people when the world feels rough and everybody's searching for a voice they can trust. Word up, we rise above the dust. This is the Word Up Podcast. This is the Word Up Podcast.
Yo, what's going on, people? Wary observations, righteous discussions, unite people. It's the Word Up Podcast. I am your host, OMNI, ETC,
Omni.
etc. All right, got everything working. Put together a little something for you all this evening. I honestly don't understand the world that we're living in. This is the second show that I've said this now. Like, what should be obvious to most people isn't obvious to most people. And that just isn't obvious to me, I guess. So today we're here to talk about, among everything else, I wanted to get to this conversation, right? And have this conversation, have this discussion with everybody. We're getting to the Don Lemon, Nicki Minaj situation, but really more on the Don Lemon side and what's going to happen legal-wise and everything like that. Nicki Minaj, she's been doing this whole, it seems like a grift. I'm going to be honest with you. It seems like a grift. This whole Christian protection grift. It seems like a grift. And so because it seems like a grift, I don't know really how much of it to take serious. I don't know if she even believes on some level of what she's saying. Quick shout out to everybody in the chat. I'm sorry, I got to use my phone. Okay, so shout out to Nidish, shout out to Cellulite Podcast, sliding on through. Antonia, VC. I gotta see you. I gotta use my phone here. I'm sorry. Just want to give everybody a quick acknowledgement and do some housekeeping. Janice Strozier said hi. What's up, Janice, sorry. And Pat Wart and Nia. I hope I said that right. I hope I didn't butcher your name. So I don't know why YouTube is acting funny style on the back end. So I'm doing a vertical and a horizontal. If you want your comments read and posted, you're going to have to join me on the horizontal stream, because the vertical, for some reason, it's not connecting the chat right now. And I don't know what that's about. It keeps saying something went wrong in the background. So I honestly don't know what that's about. So shout out to all the vertical people on the vertical side. I cannot see, I cannot post, I cannot highlight your chat, but I'm going to try to, on my phone, interact as best I can. Might be a delay, okay? But we're going to be talking about this Nicki Minaj thing, man. Not this Nicki Minaj. She's not the focal point. This Don Lemon thing. Like, okay, so with Don Lemon, the things I can say about Don Lemon, but the more and more I see of Don Lemon, the more and more I am keenly aware as to why CNN dismissed him from the company. I am keenly aware. There is no longer a doubt in my mind. All right, and there hasn't been for some time. But this recent action to storm a church with BLM is just, it's ridiculous. And then we're going to get to the videos and stuff, but here's the situation. Don Lemon stormed the church with BLM. All right, mid-service. Mid-service, he decided to storm a church with BLM as a part of a conspiracy to disrupt it and bring attention to, what's going on with ICE and everything of that. As goofy as that is in and of itself, the whole ICE debacle, how goofy that is in and of itself, in my personal opinion. If you have a difference of opinion, please post it in the comments, right? But, and again, I'll just let it know, difference of opinion, perfectly fine on this channel. We sift through the minutia to see what the truth is and get down to the bottom of things. We do not come here to disrespect, and disrespect will not be tolerated. I have people in the chat that will that will snipe you and take you up out of it should you get disrespectful. So if you want to get disrespectful, make it a good one. It might make me laugh or something. But because you only get one shot. But here's the thing. You cannot go to a pastor, right? Disrupt his church service. You cannot disrupt the church service. Say, and your excuse to disrupt said church service is freedom of protest, freedom of speech, basically your First Amendment right. Because also in the First Amendment is freedom of religion. So you violate the First Amendment in order to protect the First Amendment? This is what I'm saying. Well, people don't, and for those of y'all, hold on, I got the receipts. I had everything that I need. I got everything that I need to show you. Right here in black and white. Okay? Right here in black and white. The First Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, ratified in 1791 as part of the Bill of Rights, guarantees fundamental freedoms of speech, religion, press, assembly, and petition. It strictly prohibits Congress from establishing a state religion, restricting free exercise of religion, or abridge freedom of expression. So you are violating people's right to not only assembly, but also the right to practice their religion. And your excuse being you are exercising your freedom of speech. That's not how that works. They're both protected under the First Amendment. But if you actually knew the First Amendment, you would know this. All right, so I'm going to tuck this up for now. All right. So Don Lemon, it's probably the first time he's been to a church in X amount of years, right? Don Lemon is a goofball, all right, to say the least. He's a goofball, to say the least. All right. Of course, you know, he's a black male. I don't know what his exact ethnicity is. And he's also a member of the LGBT, however, wherever the letters are at now, community, right? So I don't think he has any respect for Christianity at all at this point in his life. I don't think he even cares to know what he needs to know. See, I think CNN used to be like a buffer from what I'm seeing out of Don Lemon now. I think CNN used to be a buffer for him from acting out and just doing what he wanted to do with his brand of journalism. Because CNN, you know, he still had moments here and there of goofiness, but it was better put together. He would be able to make somewhat of an argument. He'd actually know something of what he's talking about. But here, like, the people that you see, the anchors on screen, right, they usually have editors, they have scripts, they have a process that they have to go through in order to vet the information that they receive, and then take said information, apply spin to it. You know how mainstream media works. All of these things, right? But since Don Lemon doesn't have that machine around him, and he's not a part of the CNN machine, it's really showing how mediocre his brand of journalism is. It's really revealing how mediocre his brand of journalism is. I don't think he's a journalist. He's trying to be an activist. He's trying to do the journalist activist thing. And let me tell you, it's hard to be an objective journalist if you're going to take up any side of activism. If you're going to be an activist on one side of the aisle or for another issue. Because the point of activism to some extent is to come into conflict, right? Is to have a bias, to have a stance, and sticking to your stance. That is the foundation of activism. You know what I'm saying? We're on this side. We don't appreciate what they're doing over there, and we're going to speak up about it. That's a part of being an activist. When you're being a journalist, you're supposed to give the objective truth of things. And so you can't really be a journalist and an activist, because journalism, I know how modern day journalism goes, right? But journalism is supposed to be objective to serve the people with the information that they need in order to make an informed decision. Activism, you're speaking from a bias. So inherently, journalists being activists, or activism journalism, is a bit of an oxymoron. Just my assessment. But see, the thing is that beyond the First Amendment, there's other legalities, other statutes that have been violated, right? That can land Don Lemon in hot water, and everybody that was of BLM, of that particular protest, in hot water as well. All right, but before we get to that, let's slide on over to Twitter, slide on over to X, and we're going to see this goofiness for ourselves. Look at this. Oh, hold on. Let me open this up. There we go. Look at this. People are scared, concerned. They don't understand what's going on when they broke in.
What do you think of this? I mean, this is unacceptable. It's shameful. It's shameful.
Okay, so at this point, I want to give context to this video. At this point, they had already broken in. They stormed the church. They disrupted service. And now Don Lemon, out of foolishness, because I don't think it's out of... He would like to think that he has balls. I seriously doubt he does. This is out of pure foolishness, right? He is interviewing the pastor whom he just disrupted his service, right? Here we go.
What do you think of this? I mean, this is unacceptable. It's shameful. It's shameful to interrupt a public gathering of Christians in worship. So,
but there were folks who will say,
I have to take care of my flock.
okay, but listen, we live there's a Constitution and the First Amendment to freedom of speech and freedom to assemble and protest.
Let's go back to the Constitution, shall we? Let's go back to what the First Amendment of the Constitution says. First Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, ratified in 1791 as part of the Bill of Rights, guarantees fundamental freedoms of speech, religion, press, assembly, and petition. Let's go back to the exchange between the pastor and Don Lemon one more time. And let's see how Don is talking and see how the pastor is talking, and you tell me who knows their rights, their constitutional rights better.
What do you think of this?
I mean, this is unacceptable. It's shameful. It's shameful to interrupt a public gathering of Christians in worship.
Public gathering of Christians in worship. So we got 2 points of the First Amendment that are protected: public gathering, assembly, and Christians in worship, freedom to religion.
But there were folks who will say,
I have to take care.
See how he stuttered and it was like, but
in worship.
but there were folks who will say,
I have to take care of my flock.
okay, but listen, we live there's a Constitution and the First Amendment to freedom of speech and freedom to assemble and protest.
We're here to worship. We're here to worship Jesus, because that's the hope of these cities. That's the hope of the world, is Jesus Christ.
I want to be very respectful. Please don't push me, though.
We're here to worship Jesus. Yes. That's why.
Don't push me, bro. You all up in his face and in his grill. He's lucky he don't punch you. I'll be honest with you.
We're here. Okay, that's why we're here. Okay. That's what we're about.
Don't you think Jesus would be understanding?
We're about.
Does anybody believe that Don Lemon believes in Jesus? I need to know. Anybody in the chat, anybody at all, do y'all believe that Don Lemon actually believes in Jesus? Does anybody out there actually believe that Don Lemon believes in Jesus? I just want to know right quick, because I don't know. I don't know. Does anybody actually believe that Don Lemon believes in Jesus? Does anybody actually believe that Don Lemon believes in Jesus? Now it's doing it on both sides. I don't know what is up with the chat situation. But yeah, I can only respond to it through here. I don't believe for 1 second that Don Lemon believes in Jesus.
Love these folks. We're about spreading the love of Jesus.
But did you try to talk to them as a Christian?
No one is willing to talk.
Okay.
I have to take care of my church and my family, so I asked that you actually would also leave this building.
You don't want us to chronicle what happened?
Unless you're here to worship.
I'm always worship. I'm a Christian.
We're here to...
I don't believe it. Okay. Okay, Don Lemon, sure you are. Anyway, you're a Christian, but you broke in on a Christian service. It'd be the last thing that a Christian would do. So, Nicki Minaj, this is just a funny aside, right? Really. Nicki Minaj had this to say about Don Lemon. And she's been chucking it up ever since. So what Nicki Minaj did, she took to X and she said, Don, you cocksucker, Don cocksucker Lemon is disgusting. How dare you? I want that thug in jail. A little heavy on the thug. He would never do that to any other religion. Lock him up. And you know what? I believe she's right. I honestly believe she's right. Because people play around with Christianity. But, you know what I'm saying? When it comes to Islam and other religions, Judaism, Islam, you know what I'm saying? When it comes to a lot of other religions, they don't play with them. And I think that's because Christianity to me has become soft. Christians aren't really standing up for Christianity like that. And then which also in turns allows people who are misrepresenting the faith to have more of a voice. And so we have, on one hand, the misrepresentation of Christianity and what it means to be a Christian. And then on the other hand, you have people who are actually Christians, you know what I'm saying, not vehemently standing on it. It's the failure to stand on the Christian principles, which allows, in turn, the individuals who aren't really about that Christian life to misrepresent the faith, and that become the example or the exemplar of what most people perceive Christians to be. And so I think that's why people play with Christianity so much. That's why, you know, Don Lemon as a gay man says, I'm a Christian.
Yes. That's why we're here. Yeah. Okay, that's why we're here. Okay. That's what we're about.
Don't you think Jesus would be understanding
we're about
and love these folks?
We're about spreading the love of Jesus.
But did you try to talk to them as a Christian?
No one is willing to talk.
Okay.
I have to take care of my church and my family, so I asked that you actually would also leave this building.
You don't want us to chronicle what happened?
Unless you're here to worship.
I'm always worship. I'm a Christian.
We're here.
I always worship. No, you don't.
Well, we're here to worship. We're here to worship. Okay.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Crazy. So, on top of this with Nicki Minaj, and she's been doing the Chucky thing ever since. She's been doing the Chucky thing. I don't even know what that ad was, but she's been doing the Chucky thing ever since. You know, you know what I'm saying? LOL, and I purposely wrote it that way. This is from her last statement. LOL, and I purposely wrote it that way because I knew that would be the only way to get the cocksuckers to post about it. They would have all collectively ignored the despicable behavior displayed by Lemonhead. I'm glad they're angry. They're about to get angrier. And then you got Chucky flipping you off. All right. This is what Nicki Minaj is going in on. All right. And it's difficult for me looking at where I'm standing, it's difficult for me not to see it as some sort of grift, right? Because it's so different from her past works. Like, you see Good Form, Super Freaky Girl. She has a lot of sexually charged music that isn't necessarily aligned with Christian principles. You know what I'm saying? So it's difficult. It's difficult for me to take it seriously. But she seems to be standing on it. But also she's reaping, let's not forget, she's also reaping certain benefits from it. All right? She's reaping benefits from it. And but she's also standing on it. So we'll see if the support wasn't immediate and it wasn't substantial like it is. Would she still be going this route is my question. That's my question. But that'll be another episode of Hypocrisy for a later time. This is a little preview of what is to come down the pipeline in the intersectionality of hip hop, politics, and socio-political norms. But let's get back to Don Lemon, right? Don Lemon is facing legal troubles. And the legal troubles that Don Lemon is likely facing isn't, just from the First Amendment, but a particular act, a particular statute that expresses the intent and the will of the First Amendment of the Constitution. And that is 18 U.S. Code, Section 241. 18 U.S. Code, Section 241. All right. Let's go to it on Cornell Law. All right. And it reads, conspiracy against rights. So this is for when people conspire to violate any U.S. citizen of their rights. All right. So it reads, if two or more persons conspire to injure, oppress, threaten, or intimidate any person in any state, territory, commonwealth, possession, or district in the free exercise or enjoyment of any right or privilege secured to them by the Constitution or laws of the United States, or because of his having so exercised the same, or, this is really important, if two or more persons go in disguise on the highway or on the premises of another with intent to prevent or hinder his free exercise or enjoyment of any right or privilege so secured, here's the penalty. They shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 10 years, or both. So you can be fined and in prison, which happens a lot. And if death results from the acts committed in violation of this section, or if such acts include kidnapping or attempt to kidnap, aggravated sexual abuse, or an attempt to commit aggravated sexual abuse, or an attempt to kill, they shall be fined under this title or imprisoned for any term of years or for life, or both, or may be sentenced to death. So he's lucky nobody got hurt, injured, killed, felt some type of way, you know what I'm saying, unalive, felt some type of way. Because this could have actually wound up being worse. I hate to say it. And here's the thing. This particular statute is also referred to as the KKK Act. This was instituted in 1871, I think, 1871, to keep the KKK from disrupting church services. You know, they used to do church bombings and things of that nature to keep them from infringing on the rights of blacks. But see, this is what people aren't understanding, and this is what's so much outrage. When law is written, it's rarely written with a specific group of people in mind. Maybe in mind, but with a specific group of people written in the law. All right, very rarely. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. We know that it happens, but very rarely does it happen. So this law particularly states, all right, where is it? Any person, there it is. If two or more persons conspire to injure, oppress, threaten, or intimidate any person, people are up in arms. It's like, you can't use the KKK Act because that's just for black people. No, it's written to intimidate any person in any state, territory, commonwealth, possession, or district. Any person. All right? So it's not just for black people. So you violated the First Amendment. You tried to cover saying that your freedom of speech was more important than their freedom to religion or freedom to practice their religion and freedom of assembly. You tried to use the First Amendment. You tried to use your First Amendment protections in order to violate someone else's First Amendment protections, okay? Their First Amendment protection as far as religion and assembly, and what you believe your First Amendment protection for speech and press supersedes that. No, they cancel each other. Like there is no violating someone else's rights to retain your own rights. That doesn't exist. Nowhere in the law. All right. So Don Lemon could be on the hook for, as it says here, all right, because nobody got injured, nobody got killed, nobody got, you know what I'm saying, sex abused or kidnapped, right? But the first part is they shall be fined under this title or imprisoned for not more than 10 years. So he's looking at 10 years max. That's the max. Maybe minimum of 2. We'll see what it shakes out to. But if you don't like my word for it, because I am not a legal professional, I just read the law on a regular basis. I'm just an informed citizen who reads, you know, things like this, the U.S. codes, and see for myself. When I see things on social media and everybody's getting all up in arms about, oh my God, I go to the code, I go to the statute, I see what there is to be read, and I remain informed. You know what I'm saying? So, which I challenge everyone in my chat to do. But if you don't want to take some random guy on the internet's word for it, let's go to Nate the lawyer, who is actually a licensed professional lawyer. All right? He's passed the bar and all of the things. He has all of the credentials to give you a better, more informed perspective than I might have as an informed citizen. Here we are.
Former CNN anchor Don Lemon has been warned by the Justice Department over allegations he joined a swarm of anti-ICE protesters who burst into a Minnesota church in the middle of Sunday service and accused a pastor of working with ICE.
Our resistance protesters, they're planning an operation that we're going to follow them on. I can't tell you exactly what they're doing, but it's called Operation Pull Up. And it's Takima Armstrong, and she has been doing this since George Floyd, Dante Wright, and others, where they surprise people, catch them off guard, and hold them to account.
What do you think of this? I mean, this is unacceptable. It's shameful. It's shameful to interrupt a public gathering of Christians in worship. So,
but there were folks who will say,
I have to take care of my flock.
okay, but listen, we live in there's a constitution in the First Amendment to freedom of speech and freedom to assemble and protest.
Yeah. We're here to worship. We're here to worship Jesus, because that's the hope of these cities. That's the hope of the world, is Jesus Christ.
I said, how did I become the face of this? And my producer said, Don, you're a gay black man in America.
Don Lemon.
Scapegoat every time. You're a gay black man. It's always a scapegoat. It's always a scapegoat. Not I messed up, I did something wrong, I tried to use my First Amendment protections to violate somebody else. It's always the scapegoat of, I'm a black gay man in America, XYZ. I don't look at my own actions as to be involved with what is happening to me in any way, shape, or form.
Has officially achieved the impossible. He is so dumb that he's managed to violate a law written to stop the Ku Klux Klan. Let's talk about it. Here's a quick message from this video sponsor, ZocDoc.
Yeah.
Okay, let me take you back to Sunday morning, January 18th. We're in St. Paul, Minnesota, and families are gathering at the city's church to worship. Now, enter Don Lemon. He gets together with a group of protesters, and for whatever reason, they conspire to go and protest inside this church. Now, there are a lot of problems with going inside private property to protest, but we'll get to that in a second. Now, if you've been watching this channel for a while, you know we look at the law, then we look at the facts, and then you get to decide how it's going to play out. So first, let me introduce you to 18 U.S.C. Section 241. This is called the KKK Act. Now, this law isn't new. It was passed May 31st, 1870.
Okay, so it was 1870, not 71. That's my bad.
Literally 156 years ago. Now, Congress passed this law specifically to stop the Ku Klux Klan from riding out in the night and terrorizing freed slaves. Now, in the South, you would have a whole bunch of armed white men throw on hoods and go to black churches, kick everybody out, and burn down the building. Sometimes they'd burn down the building while leaving everyone in the building. So,
isn't that what I said? I haven't seen this, actually. I haven't seen this. This is my first time watching this video. I just knew that, you know what I'm saying, they would come at it with a legal perspective. And I'm not even expecting him to say, you know what I'm saying, everything that I said. I'm not expecting him to have the same perspective as me on everything. I haven't, like I said, I haven't seen this yet. So the fact that he's saying this is letting me know that I probably should have been a lawyer. I probably should have been a lawyer. Anyway, let's go.
Congress had enough of that and decided to pass this law. Now, what the act does, it makes it a federal crime for two or more people to conspire to injure, oppress, threaten, or intimidate any person in the free exercise or enjoyment of any right or privilege secured to them by the Constitution. And in this particular case, we're talking about your First Amendment right to exercise your religious preference. So, simply put, if you get together with a whole bunch of people and go to a church to interrupt their religious services, you are committing a federal crime and can serve up to 10 years in prison. Now, for you to be convicted of this crime, there are four elements the government has to prove. It has to prove, number one, a conspiracy, an agreement between two or more persons to do this thing. Next, they got to show that you had the specific intent to injure, oppress, threaten, or intimidate. The victims have to be a person within the United States, and the right has to be something that's constitutionally protected, like your freedom of religion.
So we got freedom of religion was violated, as well as assembly in my book. But freedom of religion was violated. He said on the intent, the conspiracy and the intent, right? That's what Don Lemon said earlier when he said, let me see. Let's go back because we're gonna review Don Lemon's own words and the fact that he recorded this on cam. If you were going to do this, you shouldn't have involved any media personality whatsoever. If you were going to do this, because that would.
The group of protesters and for
Hold on, where is he at? Oh no, he did it over here. Okay.
An operation that we're going to.
Yeah.
Resistance protesters, they're planning an operation.
In the middle of Sunday service and accused a pastor working with ICE.
Our resistance protesters, they're planning an operation that we're going to follow them on. I can't tell you exactly what they're doing, but it's called Operation Pull Up. And it's Nicki Armstrong, and she has been doing this since George Floyd, Dante.
So he just admitted himself out of his own mouth that there was a plan, which means there was a conspiracy.
10 years in prison. Now, for you to be convicted of this crime, there are four elements the government has to prove. It has to prove, number one, a conspiracy, an agreement between two or more persons to do this thing. Next, they got to show that you had the specific intent to injure, oppress, threaten, or intimidate. The victims have...
Honestly, I think 2 would probably be the hardest to prove. They definitely got 1, they got 3 and 4, but I really don't think even though 2 is, you know what I'm saying, they'd be able to, I still think that 2 would be the hardest.
To be a person
what
within the
Nate
United
says.
States, and the right has to be something that's constitutionally protected, like your freedom of religion. So let's go through the elements. Is there a conspiracy, an agreement between 2 or more persons? Here's what Don Lemon says.
So the American flag or whatever, but these are resistance protesters. They're planning an operation that we're going to follow them on. I can't tell you exactly what they're doing, but it's called Operation Pull Up. And it's Takima Armstrong, and she has been doing this since George Floyd, Dante Wright, and others, where they surprise people, catch them off guard, and hold them to account. And so that's what we're doing here. And then after we do this operation, you'll see it live. And these operations are surprise operations. Again, I can't tell you where they're going.
So it seems like there's a clear agreement between 2 or more people on what they're going to do, how they're going to do it, where to meet up, and where they are.
Talking too much. Talking too much. Want to be seen too badly.
Are going. So Don Lemon knows where they're going, what they're about to do, and how they're about to do it, right? They're going to confront some people. Don Lemon then admits more of the conspiracy.
They're getting the operation together. Again, this is an operation that is a secret, that they invited folks out. Can't tell you what is going to happen, but you're going to watch it live unfold here on the Don Lemon Show. There are for this reason it may look like MAGA coded, but there's a reason they have so many white people here. I'm just going to be honest.
Oh, MAGA coded. So is that a disguise? Wait a minute, because we read over here the second part. Remember, and this is what Nate, I don't know if Nate's going to go into this. If 2 or more persons go in disguise on the highway or on the premises of another with the intent to hinder his free exercise or enjoyment of any right or privilege so secured. When they say so secured and have that dash, they mean by the Constitution or laws of the United States. That's what they mean when they say so secured. You got to learn to how to read this. When you see that dash, if anytime in the law, right? When you see a dash and it says so secured, they're usually referring to the key anchor, what I refer to as an anchor in the previous paragraph. That anchor being by the Constitution or laws of the United States. So let me show you how to read this now. Let me show you how to read this. If 2 or more persons go in disguise on the highway or on the premises of another with intent to prevent or hinder his free exercise or enjoyment of any right or privilege so secured by the Constitution or laws of the United States. You see that dash? That dash is to connect that so secured, any right or privilege so secured, to by the Constitution or laws of the United States. Let's get back to the video.
Because of the operation that they're doing today. It's important to have allies, as they said, white allies here. So
that they can go into disguise. So it could be mostly white people, and they'll be disguised of what they're doing and who all is involved. So it's mostly white people at a BLM protest.
that is what I could say. I turned our camera off of them because they're giving some critical information here. But there we go. Everybody's ready to go.
So it seems like we got 2 or more people in a conspiracy to do something. So next we're talking about specific intent. Does Don Lemon have any evidence that there's any specific intent to injure, oppress, threaten, or intimidate whoever they're going to go and confront?
Operation Pull Up, more of a clandestine operation. We show up somewhere that is a key location. They don't expect us to come there, and then we disrupt business as usual.
So now they make it very clear that wherever they're going there to disrupt, which to me sounds like injure, oppress, threaten, or intimidate. How else?
They can twist that to be threaten or intimidate. I don't think injure, but threaten or intimidate when you come to disrupt. Threaten or intimidate, I could see that. I can see threaten or intimidate from disrupt. I can see how you could get threaten or intimidate from disruption.
Do you disrupt? So I think we have our first two elements pretty clear here. We have a conspiracy and agreement between two or more people, and we have the specific intent to disrupt, which to me sounds like injure, oppress, threaten, or intimidate someone. But now...
So as a matter of fact, what hurt the movement more so than anything, not that I'm a proponent of what they're doing, but I'm saying what they were trying to accomplish was actually hindered by Don Lemon's presence being there. Don Lemon's presence, his involvement in this, actually made it worse.
We get to find out
from a legal
where
standpoint.
they're going to disrupt.
Okay, so we are here now. Do you think if you just have it, I think maybe if you just have it on the church, but if they see me, they're gonna know. No?
I don't. It just depends.
What?
Don't name them.
See, it's about vanity. It has nothing to do with, you know what, let's keep playing this. It was crazy.
I'm not naming the location, but I mean, I'm just wondering if you see
point,
me.
I mean,
the folks inside see me.
Are the congregants really on live instead of in service right now?
No, but they'll be like, "Why is Don Lemon here?"
Sunday morning. Sunday morning church.
Yeah. Okay, we'll see.
They'll be like, he's. Well, what else?
It'd be weird that why is he wearing a Don Lemon hat to church? That would be my question. It's not why is Don Lemon here? Anybody could come to church. We had First Bethany Baptist Church in New Orleans. One of the anchors of WWL used to frequent that church. I remember Bethany. It was Bethany something. I might be getting the name wrong, but my cousin got married there, and yeah, the anchors, the WWL anchors, one of the WWL anchors, newscasters, they were a member of the church. I was starstruck as a kid seeing her too. I was like, oh my gosh, she's a real person.
It's Sunday, and we already said the church.
No, we didn't.
Yes, you said it.
No, I didn't.
No,
I did not.
But everybody around her was just acting like she's just a regular person, which, again, gave me the attitude growing up as a kid, like, it's just a rather regular person. They go to the bathroom just like you do. Like, Don Lemon is not above human. He's not subhuman. He's not above human. He's a regular guy.
So now we know they're at a church, and in that church are a whole bunch of U.S. citizens. So that satisfies element 3, where we're talking about the victim is a person in the United States or its territories. But now the right. What right are they about to violate? Well, Don Lemon makes it very clear that they're about to interrupt these people exercising their First Amendment right to worship the way they want.
They're in the middle of the church. During the beginning of the church service, the pastor was speaking, and Nicki Minaj stood up and said her piece, and then the protesters surrounded her. But this is a clandestine mission. I think they found out according to them, this is according to Operation Pull-Up, that one of the pastors here is a member of ICE. And so, here we go.
You could talk to the lead pastor.
Yeah.
Let me show you.
Now, to make it absolutely clear, Don Lemon talks to the pastor to confirm that what they were doing was exercising their freedom of religion because they were there to worship Jesus, and they are now being intimidated.
Here to worship Jesus because that's the hope of these cities. That's the hope of the world is Jesus Christ.
I want to be very respectful. Please don't push me, though.
We're here to worship Jesus.
Yes.
That's why we're here.
Yeah.
Okay. That's why we're here. Okay. That's what we're about.
Don't you think Jesus would be understanding
we're about
and love these folks?
We're about spreading the love of Jesus.
But did you try to talk to them as a Christian?
No one is willing to talk.
Okay.
I have to take care of my church and my family, so I asked that you actually would also leave this building.
You don't want us to chronicle what happened?
Unless you're here to worship.
I'm always worship. I'm a Christian.
You're not worshiping. You're here to protest.
Okay.
Thank
you very much. I appreciate it.
Now, to even make it more clear that people in that church were intimidated, here is Don Lemon's account of people crying in the corner.
And there are people here who are, I'm looking at a young man who's in the corner. He's frightened. He's scared. He's crying. People are leaving church.
these comfortable white people who are living lavish, comfortable lives while children are dragged into concentration camps. You're living real life, nice lives.
Why are y'all saying dragged into concentration? This is terrible.
Your lattes doing absolutely nothing for your Latino and Somali brothers and sisters. You come here to a man wearing a suit as a preacher. Did Jesus wear a suit? Did Jesus profit off the words? No. Jesus would dine with immigrants. Do not touch me. Touch me again and see what happens.
Hey, you can't.
You are a fake Christian. Why are you not standing with your Somali and Latino communities? Why do I not see you out at Whipple every day protesting this attack on humanity? Where are you? You're sinners. You're pretending to be Christians. But we know you live an easy life, don't you? A very easy life while people are starving. Shame.
Now, one thing you have to also understand, if you're saying,
hey,
Don Lemon didn't do anything. He was just there observing. He knew what their intentions were. He helped plan things out. Well, I'll say this. Even if Don Lemon didn't know that any of that other stuff like the intimidation was going to happen, he can still be held criminally liable for his other co-defendants' actions.
Accessory after the fact. Happens every day. So yeah, man, that's Nate the lawyer's breakdown. Oh no, he's not done. Hold on.
Like this particular guy.
Yesterday, I went into a church with Nicki Minaj and I protested these white supremacists. A pastor of the church is a fucking ICE leader in the city. How can you be a pastor and be a ICE agent? Fuck them. They want to come after me? How can they live so comfortably while the people from Somalia that are in this country legally, that have citizenship, can't even go to their mosque and pray? How do they deserve any different?
So, as you heard, the pastor said we're worshiping God.
Does anybody know if that's a thing? He said that they can't go to their mosque and pray. Why can't they? What's stopping them? What's stopping them? I'm gonna need to look into that.
To leave, they refuse to leave. So now what do you do? To me, it seems like all four of these elements have at least been spoken to, but it's going to be up to you to determine if they've been satisfied beyond a reasonable doubt. So now with all four elements seemingly satisfied, the DOJ says, we're going to be coming after you. Here is the Assistant Attorney General for the Civil Rights Division of the United States of America explaining what are the possible charges they intend to bring against Don Lemon and his co-conspirators.
I see various crimes that have occurred. Exactly what they are, I'm not going to flag, but the FACE Act has been mentioned as one of the predicates there. In other cases, the Biden DOJ used the Klan Act conspiracy charges tacked on to the FACE Act in the case of protests outside abortion clinics to bring much longer sentences. So there are a number of tools available to us. Who funded this? What else? What other crimes may have occurred? Was there a use of the wires or the mails in preparing for this event? Did anyone cross state lines to do this? All of those are potential predicates for additional federal charges.
Okay, so you guys got to see the irony in this. A law passed to stop the Ku Klux Klan from bothering black people is now going to be employed against BLM and Don Lemon. But my question to you, you know the elements, you've seen the evidence. Do you think Don Lemon has a problem? Now, if I was Don Lemon, I would be getting all my ducks in a row because it seems like they may be coming after me because he's documented everything. Now, with that being said, don't forget, like, share, subscribe, do all that great YouTube stuff. And the height of irony is that BLM is about to be charged with violating a statute created to stop the KKK. And Don Lemon may also be charged.
And there's a
Yeah, because the demographic of individual that is comprised of BLM and KK, like BLM isn't about Black Lives Matter. It's about it's a LGBTQ organization inherently. And to prove that point, I have the original message because nothing ever goes away on the internet. They changed from it. They deviated from it. They tried to switch it up. Their original mission statement on their website. Nothing goes away on the internet. Just takes a quick search of the Wayback Machine. All right, they switched it up from this, right? They switched it up from this, but let me give you some of the keynotes. All right. We work vigorously for freedom and justice for black people and by extension all people. Love that. I have no problem with that. Absolutely no problem with that sentence. We intentionally build and nurture a beloved community that is bonded together through a beautiful struggle that is restorative, not depleting. Sounds great. We are unapologetically black in our positioning and affirming that Black Lives Matter. We need not qualify our position. I'd say that is the qualification of your position, is that you're stating that Black Lives Matter. But I digress. To love and desire freedom and justice for ourselves is a prerequisite for wanting the same for others. All right. We see ourselves as part of the global black family. This is Pan-Africanism. Pan-Africanism, right? Regardless of actual or perceived sexual identity, gender expression, economic status, ability, disability, religious beliefs or disbeliefs, immigration status, or location. So they just packaged a lot in that one. It's been a minute since I've actually pulled this up to read it. They packaged a lot in that one paragraph right there. They packaged a lot. They included immigration status even back then. All right. We make space for transgender brothers and sisters to participate and lead. This is the only time in this whole thing that they will reference prioritization of any male. And it's only for transgender brothers. Now, look, here we get into some deep excrement, some deep shit. All right. We are self-reflexive and do. Let me highlight it for you. We are self-reflexive and do the work required to dismantle cisgender privilege, uplift black trans folk, especially black trans women who continue to be disproportionately impacted by trans antagonistic violence. So notice that it says specifically black trans women, and black trans women are biological males. All right, here we go. We build a space that affirms black women and is free from sexism, misogyny, and environments in which men are centered. So, by saying everything over here, we don't mess with. Let's read it. Dismantle cisgender privilege. All of this about trans and then women and then environments that are men-centered. So basically they mean, if you're a straight black man, you asked out of the situation. We don't care nothing for you. We don't care nothing about you. If you are a straight black male, we got nothing for you. We don't care about you. As a matter of fact, don't expect to be prioritized in any way, shape, or form. All right? Now, here's where the bullshit really gets thick. We make our spaces family... Hold on, let me highlight it. We make our spaces family-friendly and enable parents to fully participate with their children. We dismantle the patriarchal practice that requires mothers to work double shifts so that they can mother in private even as they participate in public justice work. We disrupt, there's that word again, disrupt, the Western prescribed nuclear family structure requirement by supporting each other as extended families and villages that collectively care for one another, especially our children. Here it comes. To the degree that mothers, parents, and children are comfortable. When they say parents, they mean mothers twice. They don't mean fathers. They won't specifically say fathers, because if they actually meant fathers, they would have said mothers and fathers. But they say mothers and parents. All right? There's only two types of parents. You have a mother and a father. they're not going to say father because they don't, again, wish to center men in any way, shape, or form. Unless you're a black trans woman, and then you can be somewhat prioritized. If you're a man who lives life as though you're a woman. And it's that level of confusion that I find very self-destructive to the BLM movement. The whole thing just needs to go, like, honestly. And they changed it. They tried to give it better messaging, but I believe what you said the first time. And the inclusion of Don Lemon in all of this, not knowing his right, what the First Amendment actually means, because there's also religion, assembly included in the First Amendment, and all of this other stuff. It just creates a situation in which you look goofy because what you're standing on isn't actually anything of substance. You're standing on purely emotion, just like the original BLM messaging. All of this is based in emotion. It's not based in any reality. It's not based in what's going on. It's based in how you feel, but not what's real. So, Don Lemon, 100% goofy. I'm going to let Nate finish up.
Certain degree of entitlement. I think people who are, in the religious groups like that, it's not the type of Christianity that I practice, but I think that they're entitled, and that entitlement comes from a supremacy, a white supremacy. And they think that this country was built for them, that it is a Christian country, when actually we left England because we wanted religious freedom. It's religious freedom, but only if you're a Christian and only if you're a white male, pretty much. And so, yeah, I absolutely 100%, but it's an intimidation tactic. And, I said, I don't understand how I've become the face of it when I was a journalist. I do understand that I'm the biggest name there. And I'm also, as I was on with my producers this morning, you and Kylie talk all the time. My producers were saying, I said, how did I become the face of this? And my producer said, Don, you're a gay black man in America.
Whenever all else fails, just scream racism and hope for the best.
And that's what it is. That's what it comes down to. That's what it comes down to, and it's very destructive on in several ways. Like, I see these young boys. When I get these new young boys, I had trainees on the job that I work. Let me move this up out of the way. So these boys that I work with on the job, I train them up, and I've trained up every type of person. You know what I'm saying? Gay, straight, members of LGBT, white, black, and whatever. I have no more difficulty with any of the boys than I do with the black boys, because they believe that every time somebody is trying to hold them accountable, say, no, you should do this, and and you know what I'm saying, you need to get here on time, and when you go for your break, you only get X amount of time for your break, and if you're X amount of time over the grace period from coming off your break, you know what I'm saying, you're going to be written up, there's going to be disciplinary action, X, Y, Z, and the third. They catch an attitude because it's like, the only reason you're talking to me like this is because of racism. The only reason that you're holding me accountable is because you're racist. This is literally what the world has come to now. And it's so sad. Instead of looking within self to self-improve and become better and all of these things, and to see, what did I do in the situation? How can I hold myself accountable? How can I what action can I take to keep it from happening again? You know what I'm saying? They go straight to racism. Now, not every black boy has that mentality, but it's far too many of them for my taste. More often than not. Now, I do get some kids that come in, they get it. And it would be crazy because I will have them in the same... I used to train two at a time. It'll be one black kid here and one black kid there, right? And one would excel and succeed in everything on what I'm training them, and the other one would make it through the training period, but as soon as they were out of the training period, their paths would diverge because the true self came out. Their original representative showed up, but then their true self came out. And so that's when, they got out of training and they felt like they were good to show up late, to not do a good job, to not pay attention to detail, everything that the job requires, to come back late off break, or to go on break and like not return for an hour or so, and all of these things, and to just be yucking it up and come through to socialize instead of to work, prioritize socialization over the work. And what would end up happening is that, I'd get these situations, it was like, well, you and him came through at the same time, and he's also black. He's doing exactly what he's supposed to do, what he's being paid to do, and nobody's reprimanding him, has to get in on his case on a daily basis or anything like that. What do you think the difference is? And you say he's whitewashed. That's why you treat him like that. So there's no self-accountability. There's no self-accountability. There's no critique. There's no way that what you're doing, coming into some place that you agreed to work, could be the problem. It's always somebody else is the issue, and that is the issue. Don Lemon was talking about his entitlement from white supremacy. No, it was you being entitled, thinking that you were entitled to disrupt a church service to fill your own agenda. That's what the entitlement was. Those people were just practicing their religious freedoms as protected by the First Amendment of the Constitution, their God-given right to religion. And for some reason, you said you weren't worshiping anything that day. You know what I'm saying? You weren't. You lied. In God's house with a straight face. And that's why this man looks like this on camera. Look at that man's face. He's befuddled. He is befuddled. So yeah, I don't feel bad for Don Lemon at all. I don't feel bad for Don Lemon at all. Whatever happens to him, and he needs to own up to it. I know he put out a statement, something like, he was practicing his First Amendment rights, but it's not going to fly. It's not going to stick. If the DOJ decides to press him, they're going to press him fully, and it is what it is. He can expect an indictment soon. Wary observations, righteous discussions, unite people. It's the Word Up Podcast. And I've been your host, OMNIETC, Omni, etc. Tell me what you think in the comments section. Let me know what you think of this breakdown. Get with me, and if you have any stories whatsoever, you can catch me at Omni, etc. on X. Shoot me some stories my way. Whatever you'd like for me to review, I'm always tuned in. Till next time, peace, love, health, wealth to you all. Take care.
We don't follow all the hype. We don't bend to every view. We just sift through the minutia till the real comes into view. Wary observation.